in 2024. Peace is a path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this afternoon. Non-teaching staff of universities threaten strike over unpaid salaries. 218 incidents of oil theft, 4 illegal pipelines uncovered in rivers, other Niger Delta state. Federal government former CJN Onegin agreed to settle out of court. On the foreign scene, Israeli arrest over Iran plot to kill Prime Minister Netanyahu. I'm Ifichuku Moyele with the news. Now, as 11 states bordering the Benue River system brace up for the possible impact of the ongoing water release from Lagdo Dam in Cameroon, residents of flood-prone communities in Ahoda West local government area of River State are calling on the state and federal government to act quickly. They spoke to correspondent Emeka Otoka.
The River State government to make sure that this time around the people of Ahoda West and the people of Ngene precisely should have a better place to stay. Mostly an IDP camp should be established. This is the particular time, this is the time that the River State government in collaboration with the federal government and the master should come in now and prepare an IDP camp. Because as I speak to you, many houses today, they are about to evacuate. And even as me, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking for a house to rent.
For the fact that the flood is coming up, they should come to our aid so that we started like the last flood that came. It was terrible. It destroyed a lot of things. Like to an extent that most people, almost everybody were sleeping on the road. Like everybody was sleeping on the road.
Meanwhile, some residents of Rumunduru along the Eneka Igruta Road in River State say they have been experiencing persistent flooding in their area since the construction of the ring road. A resident, Mr. Otuji, spoke on this.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
We have not experienced flood like this before. The drainage that was being done at the express road leading from Nete, we have not experienced flood like.
Another resident, Ransim Akweda of the nearby Obidex estate, also spoke on this.
We have not experienced flood like this before. The drainage that was being done at the express road leading from to Grita, there are some places that were blocked. The drainage they put in there could not match up with the speed of flow of water to the drainage up there. What happened now is that power of the drainage from other side coming down from the Grita airport, the whole water forced itself into our estate. We have been in perpetual bondage. So many persons have packed out. Businesses collapsed. We have 3 schools in our estate. When the children come to school in the morning, no road to pass. We're so flooded. Some even fall into the pit.
They called for government intervention. Now moving on. Human capital development expert Chinedum Ewuzie says the current hike in petrol pump price is affecting work output among employees. Mr. Ewuzie says the increased transportation cost is making some workers arrive late to work or outright absence, among others. He spoke on Nigerian for FM's Talking Figures program.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, you need to go to the bus stops to see the queues of people who are waiting for transportation. Some are waiting for transportation to come. Some are waiting for affordable transportation to come. People coming late. People have to leave earlier because it takes a longer time to get home. You're struggling for transportation. Where you're not struggling for transportation, you get harmed. So apart from the financial impact, the emotional impact on staff and also business owners, people who run their own businesses.
Mr. Ewuzie also expressed concern for those in the agricultural sector who cannot work remotely, unlike other sectors where employees can work from home. He, however, advised organizations to provide accommodations for workers who cannot afford daily transportation to promote effectiveness and productivity in the workplace.
Some organizations that can are implementing hybrid. Instead of coming 5 days a week, you can come 3 times a week, or you can take 1 day off. But it's important to note, though, that is only for industries that have this flexibility. And for the agri sector, it's a bit hard to implement. There's a guy who is a security man. Office provided accommodation for him and his colleagues. They are in the office for a couple of days. The organizations need to think about this kind of thing. If you have staff that have to be they're around, you need to be able to provide accommodation for them to stay.
The Talking Figures program is the flagship business show of our sister station. The Talking Figures program is the flagship business show of our station. It airs every Wednesday by 2 p.m. Now, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Kachalom Daju, says private employers paying below the 70,000 naira minimum wage risk jail term. Represented by the Director of Employment and Wages of the Ministry, John Yamali, said the minimum wage is now a law, and as a result, it is a punishable crime for any employer to pay less than 70,000 naira to any of its workers. Moving on, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says security operatives uncovered 218 incidents of oil theft in the Niger Delta region between 7 and 13 September. In a visual report, the NNPC said in River State, four illegal pipelines are said to be cleverly hidden and connected to a crude oil line were exposed. Now, he said 31 persons were arrested in connection to oil theft in the period under review. And now the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities SANU and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities NASU have threatened to embark on an indefinite strike if their outstanding salaries are not paid within 3 weeks. They issued the threat in a statement jointly signed by SANU President Mohammed Ibrahim and NASU General Secretary Prince Peters Adeyemi. Away from that, following the resumption of nursery, primary and secondary schools for a new school year, a child development specialist, Monachi Chima, has advised parents to pay close attention to the welfare of their kids. Ms. Monachi, who specializes in early years and child development, told correspondent Constance Iruelemega that many children struggle all through the school year because parents are not intentional about their academic performance. She said the school cannot take the place of the family in a child's life.
Be involved in your child's academic work. When the child comes home, go through the child's books, ask the child questions, give more examples, and then allow the child do the homework by his or herself. Get books for your children. Create a library at home. Buy learning aids for your children. Be mindful about the videos that they expose their children to. If it is not educational, then they should not be exposed to it.
The educationists also urge couples to maintain a harmonious relationship at home and also take the extra step to learn about the subjects their kids are taught in school, among others. And she also advocated for adequate playtime, nap time, and feeding into the daily schedule of children.
Have routines for your children. If your child is not a toddler, your child is in grade school, have TV time, learning time, reading time for the child. Get enough resources that the child would need for learning. If your child is preparing for an external exam, please, home tutoring will be very important, and then allow a lot of rest. No child this period should be seen awake 7:30, 8 o'clock. They should get enough sleep.
The child development specialist also urged parents and guardians to strike a balance between ensuring their kids get good grades and actually learn.
Follow up on your child's academic progress. If a child comes home and the child is supposed to be able to do this work and the child is not able to do it, the only way to balance this thing is communication with the school. Feedbacks, very important. If you notice that your child has a learning disability, seek for professional help. Get a therapist, get a home tutor that can assist the child.
Still to come, federal government former CJN Onegen agreed to settle out of court. Stay with us.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
You're welcome back, and now the rest of the news. Officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) tried to arrest former governor of Kogi State Yaya Bello last night at the Kogi State Governor's Lodge in Abuja, but some security operatives at the Governor's Lodge didn't let them, as gunshots rented the air during the altercation. The area has now been cordoned off and movement around the area restricted to only operatives of the EFCC and other security agencies stationed there. Earlier, Mr. Bello, who has been on the wanted list of the EFCC for allegedly laundering 80.2 billion naira, turned himself in. But in a swift reaction to the statement by the former governor's media team on honoring the EFCC invitation, the EFCC said the former governor was not in its custody and remains wanted. And now the Court of Appeal in Abuja has granted the request of the federal government and former Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Walter Onoyen, to settle out of court an appeal challenging his removal as CJN. The decision of the court followed information to the effect that the two parties in the suit have intensified effort to reach an amicable settlement of all issues in dispute. Former President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2019 removed Onoyen as the Chief Justice of Nigeria during the pendency of a charge against him at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And now in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria has reduced the cybersecurity levy on electronic transactions from 0.5% to 0.005% in its new fiscal guidelines for 2024-2025. The reduction follows the controversial introduction of the levy earlier in the year, which was met with opposition from both the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and bank customers. In entertainment, veteran actress Joke Silva has called for the eradication of all forms of sexual harassment against women in the film industry and negative stereotypes. And now to sports. Chelsea are open to letting Ukraine winger Mikhailo Mudryk leave the club in January, with French club Marseille interested in the 23-year-old. And now on the international scene, an Israeli citizen has been arrested on suspicion of being involved in a plot by Iran to assassinate Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other top officials. Israeli police and domestic intelligence said the man was twice smuggled into Iran and received payment to carry out missions. In a joint statement, they said the suspect was a businessman who had lived in Turkey and had Turkish contact, who had helped get him into Iran. Now that's a wrap on the news. That's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. Now, the non-teaching staff of Nigerian universities has threatened strike over their unpaid salaries. The NNPCL said 218 incidents of oil theft and 4 illegal pipelines were uncovered in rivers and other Niger Delta states between 7 and 13 September. Federal government and the former CJN Walter Onoyen have agreed to settle out of court. And on the foreign scene, an Israeli has been arrested over Iran plot to kill Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The news was edited by Onyekachi Nwosu. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Ifechukwu Monyeli. Many thanks for listening.